have lived all over the U.S., and you can see some of the destinations here, which we'll visit shortly. In 5, I lived in California. This is the drawing, the only drawing that my mother saved, and I'm glad she saved it. It's a drawing of the Beatles singing I Want to Hold Your Hand. We lived in the Pacific Northwest in Longview, Washington. When I was in grade school, I did my first technical illustration. It was for a science experiment, and I studied the effects of coffee on plants, and I'm going to tell you more about that particular topic later. I was also a happy Girl Scout camper. In high school in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, I liked to sew a lot, and I think this sort of marks the beginning of maybe a creative side and also sort of a visual preference for learning. I remember actually creating and wearing quilted pink flowered ski overalls. I can't believe I did that. But patterns were my first experience with self-paced learning and my first exposure to technical writing. Later in college, I continued to like sewing, so during one of the summers, I decided to take a tailoring class, and I felt like a sewing machine at the end of the summer. But I do remember the teacher asking us to write illustrations for some part of the process, and so I chose bound buttonholes. And I actually liked writing the instructions for the bound buttonholes. I went from teaching in a small town in Colorado to a very highly educated community in Lexington, Massachusetts. And it was at this location that I sort of experienced a career crisis. Luckily, we moved to Dallas, Texas, and I got out of teaching after 3 years. And I decided to go just a completely different route and decided to take computer programming, and was lucky to get an internship with IBM, which paid quite a bit. And more importantly, it gave me skills that really opened a lot of doors. At the same time, I was also renovating this cute house, and it was in a very scary neighborhood. But the experience really made me realize how much I needed to be creative and to be visual. We moved to Kansas City, where I worked for the University of Missouri, and we renovated another house. We purchased this one for a song. And you'll notice up in the corner that I've got a Apple II. This is my first computer. This isn't the actual computer, but it looked just like this one. I had the opportunity to get a doctorate in Memphis, so off I went. About 2 years into the program, I purchased an Apple computer, and this is an actual copy of the cashier's check, $6,841. That's what the computer was. It was a box, and I think it had 1 megabyte. This is the first professional software that I've developed, and it was for grade school kids for a company called Quality Computers. And you'll notice that I've got a storyboard off to the side, and it was very fun to do. I did it was animated and narrated. My husband and I traveled to Colorado Springs after getting my doctorate, and I worked for a number of companies in Colorado Springs, most of them very technical and pretty much focused on technical training. It got a little old, and when a job opened up at UNC for a professor in educational technology, I was off. I've been here for 15 years. I feel like it's been a good fit overall. And at this point, what I'm doing that's creative is illustrating a children's book. And I hope this summer to turn the book into an app or to animate parts of it and narrate parts of it. I'll probably hire voice talent. So that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it.